Two experts in ICF. Decades of experience. One podcast. Two hosts with a lot to say.
Look, I cannot sit through a struggle. I gotta get up and hustle. I gotta push through the pain, because really that's how you build muscle.
Welcome to the Build with ICF podcast with your hosts, Trevor Brown and Heather Herring Brown. Yep, they're a package deal. With over 20 years of ICF installation experience, Trevor can throw down some expertise on sales, marketing, and training. On the other side of the table sits Heather, aka the girl boss, and she's earned the title as the owner of an award-winning ICF construction company, a drafting and design company specializing in ICF. And the numbers? With a master's in accounting, she does that too. Sleeves up, boots on. This is the Build with ICF podcast.
I don't want nothing for free. I'm here to work. Been through the dirt. I've been through the dirt. Yeah.
I know what you're going to ask. 51.
Oh, good job. Good job. Okay.
I never remember the episode number. 51. I looked it up.
Well, it's been a little bit. We've been out in the field again. This is our build season. So like we have a short build season here for us in our area. So yeah, we've got like June, sometimes mid-May, but usually like right there around Memorial Day until Halloween.
Yep.
We got to be
That's
dried
our sweet
in.
spot.
That's
And we may get snow in that time frame. We did get snow in that
We
time
did,
frame. I
yeah.
played in a golf tournament on Father's Day
Yeah.
and we got snowed in. So yeah, it's real. So anyways, we are back.
We have a
Appreciate
guest
it.
today.
I know this is the exciting part. Usually they only get us, and now we finally get a guest I've been wanting to get on here for a while. So this is actually going to be pretty cool today. You guys are getting a treat. You waited, and now you get
Yes.
Josh Miller with the Highmark ICF, or also known as the ICF guys on Instagram, one of the largest followed ICF guys on social media. Pretty cool. How you doing today, Josh?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm really excited to talk some ICF, and I love that intro. It got me fired up. Everything.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we get guys on. It's so much fun now that we're kind of getting to that point where we've gone through a lot of the manufacturers and a lot of the people talking about their product and stuff like that, and we really want to start pushing into guys like you that are out in the world doing it. And what's cool is like people can see you do it because you do such a good job on social media with like putting it out there and stuff. So everybody's kind of like, oh, I've seen that guy, I know that guy, So it's kind of fun to get to hear it right out of your mouth, how you're doing it and stuff. But why don't you start kind of telling everybody how'd you get an ICF? It's this is a niche-y little thing for all of us, and then I think we all have kind of a different story of how we got here. So how'd you get here? How long you been doing it? Give us a little bio about yourself.
So for me, I haven't been doing it as long as a lot of the other guys that you've had on here. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I've been doing ICF for 30 years. I'm 30 years old. So I've been doing ICF since 2020. And to put it this way, the very first ICF house I built, I quit my job and have done ICF ever since. As soon as I did my first one, I decided this is what I'm going to do, and this is it. I've always been like a construction guy. I've always been in there. I was working for another contractor, and my favorite part was always pouring concrete of any build. We would frame, we would remodel, but my favorite thing to do is pour concrete. And we'd be hooking in those panels, man, those 1.1-inch thick panels in and out. And I was like, well, I love pouring concrete, but this sucks. So I was introduced to ICF by a guy named Pete Kruchowski, who's from Minnesota. You guys probably have talked to him before.
Yep.
And it showed it to me. He's like, hey, check this stuff out. Everyone's building like this in these colder areas, Minnesota, Idaho, Alaska, Montana, and I'm on the, Southern Washington, where it's not, we don't have like extreme cold. Like, it'll freeze here, but ICF's not as popular here. So I had never seen it. And we found a house to build, and we kind of started with it, and it went so quick. It was so easy. And it was a simple build at the time. We've gotten into some very difficult builds, but this one was simple. It was a rectangle, no bump outs, nothing crazy. And it basically stacked in a couple of days. And at the time, I was like, I'm missing something. I kept thinking that I was missing something, because like, it can't be this easy to build a house. And I kind of, I kind of liked it so much, we started experimenting with it to the point where we poured an ICF block, and we're like, and we would put some rebar in there to where we could pick it up, and we tried to shoot through it. We're like, let's see if this is bulletproof. It is. You know,
It
people
is.
don't talk
It
about
is.
that.
Yeah.
And I'm not really going to get into what we used, but you know, we couldn't shoot through it.
Yeah.
And I don't have a 50 caliber, you know, rifle, but we couldn't get through it with a lot of the stuff that people have in their homes. And it's like beyond the insulation factors, beyond the strength, it just there's so many pros, and we just kept experimenting with it, and I just fell in love with it and just started doing it, and then it just took off from there, and we're running.
Yeah, you guys do, like, it's fun to watch you guys and kind of creep on you on Instagram and just see all the cool stuff you guys are doing, because you guys do cover a lot of different things that you know, different projects and things that you're doing. And it's been, you know, I've noticed with you guys do quite a few concrete decks, it looks like. So you guys are doing the concrete decking with the, you know, Amdeck product, I think usually is what you're using. But, you know, you guys have, for somebody that jumped in it in 2020, you have gone both feet in, head first, whatever you want to say, to just, I mean, because that's kind of advanced type ICF stuff when you start getting into the deckings and the different things that you guys do and the cool builds. And so, I mean, how did you guys get going? Like, just no fear kind of thing, I guess. But how did you kind of get going into the, like, even getting into decking and stuff like that? Because I know a lot of people listening, I do get quite a few questions about doing concrete decking and stuff. You know, they're kind of scared to make that step.
The concrete decking is definitely intimidating. Luckily, I had some pan decking experience and some other decking type experience to where you're doing it with, you know, metal or whatever. But people, you got to trust the products. You got to trust the foam. Like on my first ICF 4, I didn't think foam was going to hold concrete.
Right.
I didn't. And now I can't remember the last blowout I had. You know, it's been years. You have to trust the product. So when we did our first concrete deck, we braced it like we did with pan decking, and you have to trust the foam. You have to trust you have a couple issues. We did have a blowout in an Amdeck like 4 years ago, and you know, you have to know how to deal with it. You know, you just move on. You have to fix it, and you got to keep going. But it's one of those things where we got into it because a lot of people in our area are building bunkers, and that is the best and fastest way to pour you a concrete lid. And then not only that, it's almost like every time I show a client that it's possible, they want it. And then a lot of people will say, "Oh, but it's so expensive." But if you don't have to buy flooring. Like if you like concrete, that's your floor. So in the end, it's almost a wash. And then look at what you get underneath with the insulation and the whole bunker style thing. And then we've also done some like exterior Amdecks, like you saw the award we won at World of Concrete, where it was like a party pad on top. And that guy was just begging anyone to build him a flat roof. He was begging for anybody to be able to build him something that he wanted. And everyone kept telling him, no, it's not possible. We can't do that. And all we had to find was, like, for one, a design team that's willing to design it so that it's structurally sound, and then we can do it. We can brace the heck out of it and pour that sucker, and we did.
Yeah, I think that's the one that we've talked about a lot, is like you talk about the smaller the lots are getting and the tighter the lots are getting, you're able to create more space on a rooftop. Like, I mean, it's something that's been done in the big cities forever. I mean, we both live out west here, and so we don't deal a lot with, big metro areas. We're kind of in the rural areas, but like even the smaller towns, I mean, we live in a town where, there's a couple lakes here. You could buy a lot that's a block off of the lake and then raise your, put a patio on your roof and be able to actually see the lake, from a non-lake view lot, turns into a lake view lot. So we have a lot of people wanting to do stuff like that. But again, it being in snow country, you got to have a roof that can withstand snow load too. Well, the nice thing is with concrete, you could park cars on top of it, so it's it's going to hold snow no problem. But we also deal with that too, like in our historic districts. The first place I ever did a concrete deck was in a historic area of town where they were at their max lot coverage and they wanted to add some space, so they put a bonus room, it was a game room, under their garage that was existing, and we tore it up, put a deck down, and then they could still park their cars in their garage, and gave them a whole extra room for the kids to have a game room. So living space underneath, the security encapsulating for bunkers, whether that be for whatever reason. I mean, we look at we promote this in the Midwest as far as for tornadoes or hurricanes or whatever you got going on, having that safe room ability to put the concrete down on top. So yeah, it's good to hear, because I told everybody, I go, it's not super hard. It's just a matter of you got to be detail oriented to do concrete deck. It's not a, I don't suggest DIYer go. Yeah. I don't suggest DIYer go out there and do that. There's a lot of tie-in feature to it. There's a lot of bracing feature to it. There's a lot of things that are more technical than stacking, big Legos. So it's definitely
the bracing is absolutely the most important part. And knowing how to pour it, and it's a team effort too. All your guys have to be on the same level. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and some of those things will go wrong, and you just have to know how to respond to those things. And that just comes with doing it. Done it many, many times already, and we kind of, once you get a system going, it's easy to us now. I've got a 40 by 40 M deck I'm starting next month. And I used to lose sleep over it a lot, but once you get it rolling, it's a piece of cake now.
Yeah, it's with any system. I think you've got to have those. No system is ever 100% perfect. You're gonna have issues. You just got to learn how to work within that system and work to its strengths and figure it out and make sure everybody's on the same page. So that's with anything, whether it's ICF or going back to the forms, like. You have blowouts on standard, forms that concrete guys use that weigh a ton.
Yeah, they don't get their cleats right. They don't put them together right, and they're not paying attention. They don't brace them up right. I mean, I've talked to pump guys all the time, and they're always like, you guys get a bad rap. People say, oh, they're worried about a blowout. He's like, I watch idiots that blow out Simon's forms, it's, if you don't attach things correctly, you're going to blow them out. I tell them, I will say this. I always brag that in 24 years, I've never had a legit blowout. And I say that because every blowout, I had blowouts. Every one of them was human caused, and we figured out what it was. Either it wasn't braced correctly, they forgot that there was a seam right there, or the big one that people do all the time is they cut webs to customize something, and they don't think, if I cut that web, there's no strength there, right? So it's always somewhere where someone cut a block down, they went through a web and cut it, or this web snapped off. I'm like, there was always an explanation for every blowout we've ever had, and it just comes down to the details. And that's what I tell people with the decking thing. If you're going to do decking, it's the details. It's the bracing. It's making sure it's braced correctly. It's making sure that, the outside edge is going to be strong enough to withhold that pressure and different things. So we've had multiple people that have walked away from it because I've given them too much information about it, and they've been like, oh, that sounds too scary, I'm not going to do it. But you got to give them the right information and make sure they understand that there needs to be a little bit of a fear factor out there. I think if you start losing the pucker factor a little bit, then you could make mistakes, and that's what you get. I still think that way with every pour I do. I mean, I know the walls are great. I know everything's solid. I still sit and think about it, because I just want to be ready if something does. But no, it's interesting to hear how much, the difference with the decking and stuff can make to make it. You want to talk about bringing the whole system together. That's the way to do it. But pretty cool.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'm going to kind of transition a little bit here, and I want to talk about your social media. You guys are killing it on social media. So you've got over 24,000 followers on Instagram. How did you do that? And what are you seeing from that growth?
So the how part is challenging, because if I knew how, I would continue to grow. I'd be, it kind of, so there's definitely effort there. You have to, I spend the time, I have to stop, because I'm very hands-on in the field. I'm busy. I'm in the field a lot. So I have to stop constantly and record something or make a video and like stop progress to do that stuff. And I make time to do that. Then I take it home and I'll throw something on there. The social media thing, I think, is tremendous. Like, it helps me so much. I don't send people to my website at all. I send them to my social media. I love it. They can see so much of everything you've done for years. They just look at all this stuff, all the videos, comments of what people's saying, positive or negative. They like the product, they don't like the product. I think it's very transparent, as opposed to a website where you might only post like your top 3 highlights is really all people will look at. But on social media, they can scroll and scroll and scroll and look at all sorts of different things and different projects. And I send clients there all the time, and they like it. And I think it's going to be like the next. I basically think websites are going to go away, and social media is just going to take complete over.
I think it's the best way to see, like, I mean, for you, especially where you're the face on there, like they're getting to know you. Like they feel like they can come on there and like they hear you on there. I'm assuming, was that your daughter that was on here recently when you're?
It was my niece.
Or your niece? Yeah. Yeah. I guess you're a young guy, but she just cute. I mean, just super cute, but you're like getting to see that, I mean, you just see you a little bit better. And I think that's so much more encouraging to people to do business with you when they see you actually talking. And you know, I kind of, and you've got your kind of set thing where people always ask me, hey Josh, blah blah blah, or whatever. And the funny one was I think when you did one a while back when you're like, and they say, hey Scott, and you're like, my name's not Scott, or something like that. But I mean, it's just kind of funny. You've got that, like you're starting to establish yourself, kind of the feel of your videos and stuff. The music's good, like you're putting good music to it. You're kind of doing stuff, and it's so funny to me. Like as an old guy who's way more than 30, I tell people all the time, I'm like, you guys got to get on social media. You got to get on social media. You got to get on social media, and it was so funny. We were speaking at a dealer conference just here this year and talking to a bunch of dealers and just saying, because we are tracking through our CRM, we track where all our leads come from for the drafting company, for the concrete company, for the ICF company, for the construction company. Everything is tracked of like where the lead source came from. We've just got better at that in the last couple of years. We didn't used to do a good job of that. Mind blowing how many people came up. Oh, we saw your Instagram. Oh, we started following you at Build with ICF. Oh, now with the podcast. Oh, we heard about you. We listened to your podcast, and that's all free. Like we didn't pay. We're not buying ads. We're not doing I mean, we're just kind of organically getting stuff out there. So that's a $0, 100% profit margin on any business that comes through those aspects. And I think for people, like you said, most people are not good at going and updating their website. Like.
No. It's not easy.
It's hard to go on there and just change something and modernize, get it up to speed of like, this is what we're doing this week. We're on Instagram. You can see what is Josh doing this week. And to me as a consumer, if I'm looking at that, now I'm like, okay, I went to Josh's website and this guy, hasn't updated anything in 3 years. I don't even know if he's still in business. Oh, I go to Josh's Instagram. He's actually pouring a deck right now in Washougal at, this time of day in the rain, whatever. Like it's literally, they can validate. I call it proof of life, right? It's like a proof of life. They know you're alive by watching your Instagram because they see you're posting on, what you did this week. And I think that's the benefit of the social media stuff is people have to understand now that people are doing their research, right? They're chat GBTing you now. They're Googling you. They're looking at your they're trying to see what you're doing. And if you're legitimately, because my problem is I've had so many guys, and this comes from the sales standpoint, because as a sales rep, I would just always looking for new leads. And I'd find these guys and I'd Google them. And it says they're an ICF builder in Denver, Colorado. I'd call them and they'd go, oh yeah, no, we haven't built an ICF house in 10 years, or we built one 3 years ago, but we don't really do it. If I would have gone looked at their Instagram and seen that they haven't posted anything, they haven't done anything, I probably would have known that without having to waste my time, so now with my sales guys, I tell them all the time, I go, you should be looking at their Instagram or their Facebook or whatever it is, see how
Social
active.
Media, yeah.
I mean, just that's how we look at stuff, even from I think that's how drafting gets, a lot of stuff
It
too.
is, yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
But you're killing it. You're doing an awesome job. It's fun to watch because, like I said, have you noticed the difference? Because you do mostly all reels, like all videos. You're not like just posting pictures to stuff. Did that help you think, when you went more video?
Pictures, I don't really get much from pictures. I don't really get much from longer videos either. And it kind of sucks because I feel like the people that want to learn the most like the longer videos, but there's not a lot of people out there. Like I get a lot from like 6 to 8 second videos. And I'll tell you this, it almost has to be either controversial or funny. You gotta sting a little bit of either sarcasm or humor in there in that video. Those videos do a lot better, and they reach beyond your followers better when people are like sharing it because you say a little joke like, "Hey, my name's not actually Scott," or like just kind of silly music. Like the first any video I've posted longer than I think 10 seconds has not gone viral because we've got videos that are over 20 million views, and they're all short. And they're all very satisfying. Or we're doing something that is like we're joking, but it's funny, or it's like we're jokingly being like controversial, like doing something wrong on purpose. And then guys are always on there like, "Oh, that's not good," commenting and boosting up your video, Or we're just showing off a product like Jack Jaw. Have you seen the Jack Jaw steak pullers?
Yeah.
We love to show those off, and there's always people that comment on there talking about how you don't need that and you just need to break your back and they just boost the video up and it just gets hundreds of thousands of followers. It's just all I'm doing is showing how to pull a steak out of the ground with a jackdaw. It's nuts.
It gets people fired up. Heather went on a Jackjaw buying spree with the first time we saw Jackjaw. We saw him at World of Concrete.
They were just in a little.
They just were getting
booth,
started, and she's like, these are awesome because all the guys bitch about pulling steaks, and so she was like, this is what we need. And the guy's like, well, we could, they're this much, you could, for one. And she's like, well, how much to be like a dealer or buy, to get a discount? And he's like, oh, you gotta buy 12 of them. She's like, all right, we'll take 12 of them. Yeah, so we bought like a pallet of them when we first ran into them years ago, and we use them on all our jobs, and we've sold a lot of them to our people too, and it's pretty crazy. But yeah, that's kind of funny how you did like those. I do think that there's, we had Beth Popniklov. I messed up her name. Sorry, Beth. That came on here a couple episodes ago, and she's amazing. She's CEO of Venveo, and they do a lot of marketing specializing in building materials. And she was, I can't remember if we talked on the episode or off the episode, but anyway, she talks about how just what you said, short videos, but then maybe they have a call to like, you can go follow, go check it out further if you want the deeper version kind of deal. It's like, haha, funny video, here's what it is, we're not doing it right, but then in the text it says, to see how to do it right, click here, and it sends them to a different video or a different website or whatever. Like that is, I think, what's killer. And I think that's another motivation why more people should be doing social media is they all think they have to have this long drawn out, well produced, social media post. And it's like, dude, the simpler, the better. Like just a quick little with your phone is goes a long ways. I mean, like we had the one where Bryce was dancing or whatever. I can't remember what it was. I think Bryce, one of our guys, was doing the gritty, just a quick little gritty, in front of the World of Concrete sign or whatever. And like it got some of the most hits, like just something stupid like that, but, and then they'll scroll through your videos and see what you're doing,
Just
but
something to catch their attention. And I think that's, kind of the big thing. And the thing is I loved your answer. You're like, if I knew what it was, I would keep doing it every time. But it's like, sometimes you have no idea what it is and it just hits and you're like, well, I didn't think that one was going to go anywhere. And then that's our best post.
No kidding. And they're always the shorter ones. It's always the one that you spent the least amount of effort on, I think, for me. Like every time I spend a few hours editing some video, it doesn't go anywhere. And then I'll post something silly. Yeah, I'll post something silly. And then I'm like, what in the world are people watching this for? That's the way I think to grow it is to have a little bit of a sense of humor, which we like to have fun anyway. And but then you have to have your more serious stuff anyway. But for someone that's wanting to, even if you're not doing it to gain a following, because I would like to monetize it eventually, but even if you're doing it not to gain a following, it's just post your work, show off your work, because a client will go there and it speaks more than a website. A website's just got your information, how to contact you, and like maybe a few pictures, but show off what you do on your day to day. You can post a story, and like you said, someone can be like, this is what Josh is doing today. This is what he's doing tomorrow. Like this is like follow along with him and be like, do I want to work with this builder or not?
Yeah.
Well, and like your series on the decking, on AM Deck, and you're like, this is episode 1 or whatever, and you're educating your clients, you're educating the public, you're educating, people and showing them that you really do, you are the expert. You're the one, you know how to do this, and it just builds that confidence as well, and as well as educating them.
Or
Yeah,
even yeah, because I think it was one of your last ones here. You're doing like follow us along the whole build, right? We're gonna take you from
we're
beginning
doing a
to
duplex right now, and I'm recording every single day, and I'm trying to post every single step, and we're pouring those walls on Monday, so I'll be posting another video.
And I think that's, I mean, honestly, I think that's the popularity of our podcast has been, people just wanting information and seeing the whole process and hearing about all the details and the full processes because it's comical. I laugh every time I tell people like how, what kind of downloads we get on this podcast is comical. It blows my mind. Over 90 countries now we've been downloaded in. There's just so many people like that get on this. And like, I mean, we just, shout out to all our friends down in the Palisades. We're trying to put together, we've been invited to go down and speak to a bunch of the people that lost their houses in the Palisades fire. We're hoping here in the next couple of weeks, actually, it looks like we put it together to where we're going to go down there and actually speak to them and came through the podcast. Like they were listening to ICF stuff and ways to find some houses that don't burn to the ground. And they came across the podcast, loved it, reached out to us through the podcast, said, hey, would you guys be willing to come down and speak to us, about ICF and educate our people. So we're putting together a date to go down and do that. But it's all because they're just trying to gain information about it, right? And so if you're putting the information out there, it's amazing they'll consume it, but you got to put it out there. So I think it's great what you're doing to show the processes because I think a lot of people post one thing and then they drop it and then they post one thing and they drop it. But to like follow through with because I think there are a ton of people that are yearning to hear like, oh, I want to see how they pour the walls and I want to see how they do the deck and now I want to see how they put the roof on it. And now I want to see how they put a window in or whatever it is. Those are the things that I think benefit from doing what you're doing with the series type posts and stuff. So keep it up. That's awesome.
All right. Should we transition into our final questions?
Yep.
Our 3 questions that we ask every one of our guests. So the first one, Josh, what is a memorable ICF experience that you've had?
So there's a lot, but this one, I'm going to say it, but I hope that the homeowner, they might hear this, but I'm not going to mention any names. But one time we were pouring some ICF walls and ICF at the top, you're on your scaffold, right? The blocks are open and you're pouring concrete inside of it. And I was holding the hose. We're focused, everything's going really well. And all of a sudden, it gets a little dusty or smoky and we're like, okay, that's interesting. And we look over and the homeowner is dumping somebody's ashes into the ICF blocks and we're downwind talking something like, oh, grandpa's going to be with us forever or whatever. And we were like, okay, hold on. Can we stop for a second? That's one I will never forget because, had I been aware, we probably would have maybe just mixed it in the truck or something.
Maybe not been downwind from grandpa. Like, it's an awesome idea. So if these homeowners are listening, that is a really cool idea because that would be a way to have him with you forever. That is a very, very cool thing. I'm actually going to say that more people should do that. I think that's a great idea. And you win, Josh. This is every time we throw this question at people, every once in a while we get one that goes, wow, I don't think anyone will beat that. That might be you've got the new top story, I think, for that one. Top answer to memorable experiences.
It was very, very interesting. And I'm not saying it was like the wrong thing to do by any means.
It's awesome.
I'm just saying I would have appreciated personally a little heads up. And I guess she did ask one of the guys and they were like, yeah, we don't care. It's not enough to affect it structurally. It's like,
right.
It's like literally one cup. So, I just personally wasn't told. So I was caught off guard.
That is phenomenal. That is, yeah. That takes the number 1 spot for most memorable ICF experience. Yeah. Grandpa on the wall. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know what? I might change my mind. I might want to do that.
Put a plaque on the wall. Grandpa's here.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
That is awesome. Okay.
Go ahead. Are you going to give me that? Okay. You let me do one. All right. So we kind of brushed over this a little bit, and I think before we started recording, you're like, oh, I got some for you. What are you excited about looking into the ICF world? I mean, we've got so much cool stuff happening. I mean, I'm so proud of our industry, and when I say our industry, all the accessories that are coming in, all the different companies that are bringing products to us to help with our system, the new type of ICF systems that are coming around. I mean, there's so many cool things happening out in our industry. Is there stuff that you're looking forward to implementing into your business that you're excited about, or what you think the future of ICF and stuff is going on?
Yeah. So for me, everything that comes into the ICF industry that makes it easier, I'm all for it. I'm a big fan of the Fab Form with Joey. They're making Fast Foot. Love Fast Foot. I'm a big fan of everything the ICF blocks in general. They're light, they're easy. So when I think about like, what's the hardest thing about building an ICF house? Like, what do we spend the most time with? What do we struggle with? And it's rebar. And it's like, we spend so much time making bends. We spend so much time, bending bar, carrying it, cutting it. And it's heavy. It's hard on the labor. It takes a little bit longer. And when you carry these light ICF blocks, then you got to go and grab a hunk of number 5 bar. So fiberglass rebar is something that's coming into the industry. And I know it's been around, but I feel like it's just the foot just was put in the door into the ICF industry to where they're like, okay, you guys can now start using this everywhere. And I'm yet to use it with ICF, but I've seen other people starting to do it. So I know it's coming, and I'm excited for it because of the lightweight. And why don't you share some of the things you shared with me about it?
Yeah, I'm excited too. I've mentioned it on previous podcasts. We've had MST on our podcast before here, and I met them through the podcast, decided to start using it, and we now solely use MST rebar. It is, it's 4 times lighter, 3 times stronger. So what we're running into that I think is cool, real world, and we talked about this on a previous podcast, but we just did a job where they were calling out number 7 and number 6 steel. And our engineer was able to take the MST rebar and downsize us to 5 bar. So we were putting number 5 in place of number 6, and in some places number 7. So we were getting, and I mean, and when you lift this, it's like picking up a fishing rod. It's just as light as a fishing rod. It's fiberglass. So a 14-foot piece of number 5, you can lift with one hand, drop it in there like it's a fishing rod. So it's super light. But yeah, to me, I would agree with you. That's probably the most exciting thing I have, in the ICF industry right now is because everyone's seen it. And I always kind of clarify this, and this isn't an ad for MST Bar, but if MST Bar wants to, sponsor this podcast, they can too. But we have there's only one MST bar. There is another bar coming in from overseas that has structural, but it doesn't have all the structural rate, the actual code approvals and stuff. But MST has all the code approvals, has everything to go vertical in your walls. So for us, I didn't want to get involved with it till it would replace all steel. And so that's what we're doing. We're not doing any steel in our walls. And I disclosure or disclaimer on that, there are areas on the West Coast in certain places where the seismic reaches a certain seismic zone that is not been approved yet for the fiberglass rebar. But for the most part, 99% of the jobs that we've been involved with, we're able to use MST rebar on. So yeah, I think you're right. That is something that's exciting that makes it easier for us. I think any of that stuff. I go back to when Simpson Hangers started making floor joist hangers, and now you've got Berman, and you've got all these guys out there that are making Watkins hangers and stuff, making hangers for us for the industry. We didn't used to have that. You had to use J bolts and funky.
You had to
cuts.
make up your own thing to make stuff work, and now
and then hope it got approved. I mean, now if they see Simpson or Berman or Watkins, the engineers are like, okay, cool, it's approved. That's engineered. So anything that makes our life easier is better, but definitely love seeing the structural fiberglass rebar out there now, because it's been out there for non-structural, for flat work for a long time, and people have seen it out there. But this is a different beast.
Yes.
So, there we go.
All right, and our last question. So this is where you get to promote you and your business. So tell us why people should choose Highmark ICF.
So for me, there's a lot of reasons, but a couple I'll share. So I'm an ICF guy, like first and foremost. I'm not going to come to you and be like, I'm a home builder. I want to build your house. You know, I will promote ICF even if I'm not the builder. I'll promote ICF even if you don't choose the block that I'm repping currently. You know what I mean? Like, I will tell a guy to build with Maduro, Fox, Amvic. Like, if your choice is going to be to build with ICF, build with ICF. I love the ICF industry and its technology and everything that it's about. It's not like my personal reasons, like, oh, let me build your house. And I feel like when people talk to me, they'll start to realize that, like, hey, this guy's not just trying to build my home. This guy's actually looking out for what I'm building with. And another thing is, and someone told me this a couple of weeks ago. I was meeting with a potential client, and he said, you know, you're the first builder that's actually invited me out to see homes that you've built in the past. And I never really thought about it until he brought it up. And I don't know if people stopped doing that, but I always invite them to see past homes I've built, and they can pick one. I'll give you like a list of 8 cities and be like, hey, what projects do you want to go see? And they love that stuff. And I'll also say that personally for me and building with the ICF guys is that when we do your ICF, it's not like you hire me and then a bunch of white vans show up and then your house gets built. Like, you see me on site every day. You see us. I'm doing the work with my guys. I'm not subbing it out to like someone you'll never see again. And that's another big thing to keep to keep the quality control. And that's just with, like, because there's a lot of guys that are starting to get into the ICF thing, I think. And if there's no one there consulting, or there's no one there that knows what they're doing or around, like, it can go really bad really quick if someone doesn't have the right expertise or someone to reach out and ask questions to. So those are just 3 quick reasons.
I think that's legitimately one of the best answers. I tell people all the time, you know, I've been selling and installing and doing ICF for, you know, over 20 years now. And the thing I really, really pride myself on is that I am an ICF guy. But first and foremost, I don't care who's paying my bills. I don't care who's writing me commission checks, what brand name is on that check, you know, or whatever we're doing, or when I deliver something to a job site, what stickers on the block. I am an ICF guy first, and I am a pro ICF guy. I am, and I'll even go farther and say I'm an anti-stick frame guy. Mm-hmm. I'm just one of those, and I'm, you know, using the example of our Palisades people, you know, and I was involved with the Paradise fires and that, you know, a bunch of the fires in California. You know, I pride myself on giving, you know, why are we building with things when there's a better option, right? Like, it's one thing to like, well, this is the best we could do. It's not that, like, we have an option to build with ICF. It's not a lot more money, and people can jump all over me about that too. I can help you find ways to make this affordable for you as well. And even if it is a point or 2 more, you know, what's your safety worth? What's your, you know, the longevity of your home worth? Like, there's all these things that, like, I'm just trying to get them to the ICF, you know, water hole, you know, and then we'll just get them to drink from the ICF water hole. Then we can fight over what brand you should use, you know, and I'm a multi-line distributor. I sell multiple lines. We will install virtually every brand of block out there with our install crews. You know, we draw plans with the drafting company for every different brand out there. You know, there's nobody we won't draw a plan for. You know, we work with every brand. We are friendly with every brand, and it's because we're all trying to promote that. So I love the fact that you're, you know, saying that when people come to you, you're just teaching them about this building system more so than about you as a company. So to me, that's a trust factor that you're putting into people. Like, you know, it'd be like if I walked on a car lot and the car lot guy was just trying to sell me one car and he would not show me any other cars and he just kept pushing this one car down my throat. I'd get nervous. I'd be scared. I'd be like, why is this guy, you know, it's kind of like I jump on people on Facebook groups. I cannot stand when these reps jump into a Facebook group and just blast their brand in there, you know, and it's just like every time somebody asks something, they're like, hey, you know, what kind of windows do you guys like? And next thing you know, this guy's in there, well, you should use XYZ block. XYZ block's the best block. It's the best block. They're like, dude, they asked about windows. Shut up. Like, quit spamming people, you know, like, it's amazing to me how guys will just like, they're just, I mean, to me, that's so aggressive that it's a red flag. Like, if you have to, can't just be point of information for people and education, and say, hey, good question. We've used this window, blah 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 blah, and we've had really good luck with it. And then they look at you and look who you are, and oh, that guy's also a so and so rep. Okay, then great. Then maybe they want to talk to you, and then you can talk to them. But God, don't jam it down their throat. It just kills me. But no, I think that's awesome. Like I said, I've got to watch you from afar. I've got to see your projects win awards. I've seen what you guys have done, and you're just doing awesome work. I mean, your stuff is tight. It's like I said, and you're transparent, man. If anyone wants to see what kind of work you do, go to the ICF guys on Instagram. You'll see what they're doing. He's not hiding anything. I mean, you'll see everything that's going on. So I think that's another, one great kudos to the Instagram side of it and the social media side. But if you're doing great work, you're winning awards, you're out there visibly doing it for people. So I think that's a big reason why to look up Highmark ICF. If you're what is your region? What would you say you're willing to travel, just so our listeners know if they're in that area that contact you?
I'm in the Columbia River Gorge, like the heart of it. So I'm on the Washington side, but I probably couldn't hit a golf ball to Oregon, but I like to say that I can. But I would go basically from Portland, Oregon. That's about 45 minutes away from me, to the Dalles, Goldendale. So basically I'm super northern Oregon and super southern Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that whole strip. I don't think I would go all the way to the coast. I don't like to travel basically over an hour and a few minutes, really.
Yeah.
But if the project was right, I would do it. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, I'm busy enough in this area to where I'm trying not to travel. But if there was a challenging project that I would like to do, I would go, because I've been really enjoying not building boxes so much. You know what I mean? Like, people are starting to come out with more 45-degree angles and castles and some really unique stuff with the ICF. And those are the projects that win awards, and those are the projects that I want to build.
Are you open to doing consulting if somebody's, like I said, maybe it's a little further out, but do it, because I've been doing more and more of that, where guys are bringing me in one day here, one day there, one day, maybe like 3 days over the course of a project to look at stuff. Like, with your experience with the decking and stuff, are you open to people getting hold of you for some consulting jobs and stuff like that? Because that's where I could see that being a huge deal. We've got stuff we're drawing in blueprints, and they're in different parts of the country, and they're saying, yeah, we want to use Amdeck, but we don't have anybody that knows how to do it. That
or
would
their
be
contractor is nervous and has questions.
So it'd be nice to have somebody that can come out there and do that, and they're more than happy to pay. I mean, like I said, I've been doing more and more of that, where I'm traveling, to go to a job site. I'll literally fly to somewhere, spend a day with people, come back, go back another day, and then go usually for pour or pre-inspection. So reach out, talk to Josh. We're going to post up your stuff on Instagram. Like I said, that's the best way to get hold of him, but it's the ICF guys on Instagram. If you look that up, you'll see he'll list him, and there's Josh Miller. So reach out to you through Instagram and check that out. But any closing things you're thinking?
Well, I kept thinking as you're talking today, Josh, is like, you're just a really, really good ambassador for the ICF system, whether it's a specific block or a specific roofing, decking system. Just you're a good ICF ambassador. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, and you guys as well. So I just so you hear it, I look up to you guys. You guys were there before, when I first started. So I just wanted to say that too.
That's awesome. We appreciate it. And like I said, that's why we do it. We're just getting the information out there to people. We want to try to educate. We apologize that we have to go work real jobs and make money to pay for this, so we can't be on here as much as we'd like to. But I do think we're going to be able to crank out a few episodes here shortly. So people reach out to us at Build with ICF on all of our Instagram and all of our social medias. Reach out to us anywhere. We've got our info at Build with ICF as our email address. If you want to shoot us an email and talk to us about, anything, any questions, any episodes you'd like to hear, we're open for suggestion. Like I said, we're trying to get more out there. I'm actually rocking my House is Stronger Than Your House
Your
Sure.
T-shirt, yep.
Yeah,
Build with
I need
got-
to get one of those.
Yeah.
I need to get
So-
one.
it's a
Oh, we
pretty
could
good-
set that up for you.
We can make it happen. So hit us up if you guys want some Build with ICF swag. We're still running some, if you post that you're out there listening to the podcast, we're still running some contests. If we see you posting on Instagram and tagging us, there can be some shirts coming your way. We'll reach out to you. So, or if you want to just buy some shirts, you don't want to post and win one, you want to just buy some. We've got some different swag out there now. It's on the website, right?
It is.
It is on the website now. So you can go check it out and buy it right off our website, Build with ICF. Probably enough plugging for us on
I
that
think so,
one.
yeah. I think so. I think it's
All
been a
right.
good show. Thank you so much, Josh. We really appreciate you taking some time today to have a conversation with us.
Thanks a lot for having me, guys.